631-0864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock, he hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it! The Ducks have won!
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
Dante will dribble it out! The Ducks are Pac-12 tournament champions!
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Oregon's a Fiesta Bowl champion in a 12-win season.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Great news, Oregon women's golf is advancing. If you're live with us here in the 1 o'clock hour, Oregon, I'm looking at the updated scores. The Ducks went on an absolute tear, and I mean an absolute tear. The Ducks went 5 under today. They're 14 over par overall. They finished in second place in the Auburn Regional, and the Ducks have advanced. Georgia and Houston tied for 6th. They were 1 off the cut line, where South Carolina and Tulsa tied at 27 over par. North Carolina 21 over par overall. Oregon 14 over par. Auburn, the host team, 10 over par. The Ducks, though, 5 under today. Bravo to Derek Radley's team. A few more updates coming for you over the course of the show, but that's the latest news today as we get you ready for a busy show. Casey Martin on the men's side, his team competing in the NCAA regionals next week. We'll have updates next week. Casey Martin's going to join us here in the Country Financial Studio coming up in just a little while. Rob Moseley is also on the road with the Oregon softball team, so we'll be touching base with him here actually in this segment coming up. Also some news and notes around Duck baseball. The Ducks met with the media today. Mark Wasikowski previewing the rivalry series up in Seattle that is coming your way on Friday. Ryan Milano will be making the trip. I'm happy to report that today we did not have to play the video file that Scott and I put together. That's a good sign. Still waiting. I'm still waiting. Waiting for that phone call. If my phone does happen to ring, by the way, everybody, and I'm actually literally, as I'm speaking, making sure that my phone and my computer will ring if my wife calls, and otherwise it will be quiet. We are in the final days of the countdown. The final countdown is on for the second child who will be joining us soon. Final countdown. Scott is literally humming the final countdown. So now if my phone does ring and we end up on awful announcing like, hey, broadcaster had to get up and leave mid-show because his wife called and said, hey, we got to go to the hospital. Well, now you'll know what happens.
I'll say hello, everybody, and welcome to Duck Insider.
That's right. Scott will dust off the microphone and be ready to go for us. In all seriousness, though, we're looking forward to it. And so Ryan is going to make the trip. He'll be on the road with the Oregon baseball team coming up this weekend. The Ducks with a 7 o'clock first pitch on Friday, 5 o'clock on Saturday, and it concludes on Mother's Day at noon. And you know this kid's going to have a sense of humor like his father, and it's going to be on Mother's Day. That's just probably how this is going to play out. We'll talk a little bit, though, with Drew Smith, Chase Meggers, Kevin Sider, and head coach Mark Wasikowski this week. Now, though, yesterday afternoon, so we said on the show, we were like, hey, you know, this could happen. It's the way that the schedule penciled out. We now have the Oregon softball honors for the postseason. The Ducks, mini Ducks, recognized by the conference. Oregon has the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year for just the second time ever. Paige Sinicki Hannah Delgado made the All-Pac-12 team for the 4th time in her career, becoming the 3rd Duck outfielder to earn that distinction. The two were among 8 Ducks recognized by the Pac-12 yesterday afternoon. Outfielder Ariel Carlson, also on the first team for the All-Conference squad. Kylu Shar on the All-Pac-12 first team. Annalise Sokolsky recognized on the Pac-12 second team. Alyssa Daniel joined Hannah Delgado on the All-Pac-12 third team. And infielder Katie Flannery and pitcher Taylor Spencer were selected for the All-Freshman team. For Delgado, what a nice ending for her. The season ended way too soon for Hannah Delgado. We've talked a lot about it over the course of the way that her career, unfortunately, had to conclude. But getting out there on senior day, an absolute huge deal, and just the 3rd position player to be a 4-time all-conference selection for the Ducks. She joins former teammate Allie Bunker, who was honored by the Pac-12 4 times at second base between 2020 to 23, and infielder Kathy Stahl, who was a 4-time all-conference selection between 93 and 96. Hannah Delgado is in elite company. Only the 3rd position player ever to wear an Oregon uniform and be recognized as an all-conference honoree 4 times. Now, Paige Snicki, who shared the top defensive honors with Arizona's Taylor Beal, just the 2nd Duck to be named the Defensive Player of the Year, joining Janelle Lindvall in 2016. One of the Lindvall sisters, yeah. It is the all-conference honors, or it is, the first all-conference honor for everyone except Hannah Delgado and Paige Snicki. The Ducks open the Pac-12 tournament Thursday against Utah at 10 a.m. at Stanford's Smith Family Stadium. It'll be televised on Pac-12 Network. Knight Urezki's got the call on the KWVA stream for you as well, our friends from the student radio station. Oregon State and Arizona State play tonight. The Ducks are the number 3 seed in the Pac-12 softball tournament. Number 3 Oregon against number 6 Utah at 10 a.m. The winner of that game gets the winner of the rivalry game between Stanford and Cal. That's scheduled for about 12:30. They'll have about half an hour in between the two contests. I doubt Stanford and Cal actually start at 12:30, but we'll see. Oregon and Utah, though, coming up to lead things off. UCLA gets the winner of Oregon State and Arizona State, which, you don't want to... If you're the Ducks, or I should say if you're the Bruins, you don't want to have anything go wrong for the number 1 seed, do you? Maybe you do. Oregon State, Arizona State, I don't know. And then number 4, Washington, and number 5, Arizona. That's the nightcap on Thursday. The Ducks in the Pac-12 tournament. Congratulations, though, to Paige Snicki, Ariel Carlson, Kylu Shar, Elise Sokolsky, Alyssa Daniel, Hannah Delgado, Katie Flannery, and Taylor Spencer, all recognized as all-conference honorees. We're going to get a timeout. When we come back, Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. He's actually on the road, going to join us live via Zoom here in just a moment. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can make the most out of summer with all your friends. Most of my friends happen to be four-legged.
Your summer starts here, but it all ends June 3rd. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can make the most out of summer with all your friends. Most of my friends happen to be four-legged.
Your summer starts here, but it all ends June 3rd. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays? The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Going to talk with Rob from the road here in just a little while. In the meantime, though, we're going to get to a little bit of baseball, a little bit of Oregon men's golf. We'll actually save Casey Martin. We talked with him earlier. Let's hear a little bit from Drew Smith today. Oregon baseball. He met with the media after practice just a little while ago. The Ducks getting ready to take on the Huskies. And don't look now, but, you know, Oregon's got a really, really good chance to potentially win a Pac-12 title. Oh! Look at this man. He's literally on the farm. Do you see this guy? Look at this. All right, we'll hear from Drew Smith in a little while because Rob's with us. Rob, where are you?
I'm under some tree on the campus at Stanford.
All right. Literally on the farm. What's the schedule like? What's going on for the Ducks today?
So, yeah, I linked up with the softball team yesterday. They had a practice at Santa Clara today. They went and got in an early morning lift just so they could kind of get their bodies on schedule because it's a pretty early start tomorrow,
right.
10 o'clock game against Utah. Had some study hall time. And then we're headed now. They're going to get some hitting in and then go practice at back at Stanford here. So, yeah, just really gearing up. A lot of preparation on a lot of different facets. They watched some film at the hotel a little earlier. So, you know, weightlifting, study hall, film review, hitting, practice. It's a full day of prep mentally and physically.
How's study hall and the weightlifting going for the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com?
I got in a run. No weights, but I did get in a run, so it was nice. It's one of those days. Last night was the same when you realize why people who can afford to live here. You know, I don't know about you. I come back to the Bay as a native, and the traffic is awful, and I think to myself, it's just not worth it. And then, you know, when you're not behind the wheel, when you're just walking around enjoying the weather, it's like, okay, I get it.
All right, the most important question, though, that I have to ask you, because I know you took the train down. Did you get your sleeper car?
I did not.
Dude!
Yeah, I think my strategy was a little off in trying to procure a sleeper. So there's no losses, only lessons, right? So next time I'm gonna bank that experience, and hopefully things will work out a little more favorably.
Attaboy. All right, now
I was in coach, yeah, but I slept well. So
good.
That was the bottom line.
Good.
You got to get some rest, and I did.
Rob Moseley joining us live on the scene. He was kind enough to work around the schedule and talk a little bit of softball on the road. But I also happened to notice, Rob, at least from your socials, you got to take in an A's game, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I sort of had mixed feelings as a lifelong A's fan. I mean, there's no doubt about it that other than an Oregon facility, the place I've watched the most sports in my life is the Oakland Coliseum and seeing the A's. So obviously it's a hard situation with them leaving, and I had kind of mixed feelings about supporting the organization. But I used a secondary marketplace to procure tickets, so I wasn't actually giving money directly to the A's and their ownership. But yeah, I went with my mom, gave her a little early Mother's Day present, and actually rolled up like right before the game and got like the Diamond Club level seats. We were 2 rows behind home plate.
Nice.
Right on the field level there for like $80 each. So yeah, it worked out really well.
So I had to ask you about this, Rob, because you brought up the Bay Area connection. Like, I grew up in Santa Cruz. I've seen so many games there, and I'm similar to you, mixed feelings. So I had to ask, just from a baseball fan to a baseball fan, that's nice to take in a Major League Baseball game any chance you get, I guess.
Yeah, as an A's fan, the fact that it was 11-0 with one out in the top of the second, in some ways felt fitting, given where the franchise is at. But yeah, it was a fun day though. Beautiful weather. Got to go with Mom again, early Mother's Day, so she was pretty stoked.
Good stuff. GoDucks.com editor-in-chief Rob Moseley joining us. So, softball. We talked about the schedule, Rob. Before you came on, I ran through all the honors for Oregon softball. Maybe let's start with Hannah Delgado. The unfortunate ending for her season, but Rob, elite company as one of only 3 players in program history to be honored 4 times as an all-conference honoree. That was cool to see that.
Yeah, you really appreciate that kind of what she accomplished prior to her injury wasn't overlooked. She wasn't certain kind of how much she'd be able to travel in the wake of her injury, but she's been able to make these trips. She's down here.
Cool.
Practice yesterday. We've heard her talk about how, she can still be a reference maybe to like Kylu Shar about, slap hitting and things like that. And sure enough, they were doing some live hitting yesterday, and there was Hannah lingering with Kai, going, talking about something. Once the session was over, kind of being a resource that way. So just great to have her around. Have her be engaged, contribute to the extent she can. But again, she was contributing so much on the field, and again, great to see that recognized.
Yeah, that was cool. And then Paige Sinicki, honored as one of the top defensive players in the conference. And defense is something that this program always has prided itself on, and I feel like that's going to be a huge key in this tournament.
No doubt. And after they did live hitting yesterday at practice, they were doing a bunch of infield defense, bunt defense, all kinds of various different scenarios, things like that pop up in the game. And watching Paige work in practice, we see this with student athletes across different sports, but, you watch somebody work on something specific in practice and you realize, okay, that's, stuff doesn't just happen in games, because you're gifted or anything like that. You really got to put in the work. So, watching Paige work in practice, she's just spectacular. She makes, spectacular seem routine. And so, it totally makes sense, given the work she puts in that element of her game, that she would be honored as one of the best defensive players in the conference.
Rob, you bring up a great point. You and I have talked about this before, that we get the unique opportunity to kind of see the buildup of various sports, some more than others. But for you, just as a storyteller, how fun is it to be at practice, be around right now heading into postseason?
Well, as a storyteller, it's awesome, but it's also harrowing, because there's always that thing lingering over your head of I got to get a story out of this. So it's
true.
You can't just sit back and treat it like a vacation for as much as we'd like to. It's you feel like you got to always have your antenna up, your feelers out. All right, what am I going to write about, or what am I going to talk about? All that. So but hey, as I always say, it beats having a real job. That's for sure.
Well, then here's the obvious interview 101 follow-up for you, Rob. What are you going to write about?
I don't have anything yet, but there's a long day ahead of us of practice still. So, and I'm, hopefully I'm going to be following this team, not just this week, but for throughout the month of May as well. So, you got to keep your powder dry to some extent as well. So there's a delicate balance that way.
That's right. 10 a.m. tomorrow, Oregon and Utah in the Pac-12 tournament. Some other thoughts for Rob Moseley, kind enough to join us. This is what we call a live remote in the broadcast sense. This is the next level for you, Rob, as a correspondent. There's no such thing as just a writer anymore, buddy. You've officially gone full multimedia journalist here.
No, I get asked sometimes, when I took this job, is there anything about it that has surprised me since? And I always tried to be flexible and open-minded, but within a certain spectrum. And the idea that writing is only a small portion of what I do on a day-to-day basis, I'm not sure I would have believed that when I first took this gig, but that's part of the deal. You adapt with the times, right?
Lifelong learner, Rob Moseley, joining us. Hey, Oregon baseball, Rob, you got 6 games left in the regular season. Ducks need some help, but the scenarios are still there to maybe win a Pac-12 championship. They've got 2 teams that are toward the bottom of the conference standings coming up. What do you think? It's fun to be in the race at the end of the year, isn't it?
No doubt. And, winning the tournament as they did last year was great, but obviously you want the body of work over the course of the season. that's really the prize. And, try to go into a situation where you don't have to win the tournament to kind of secure a foothold in the rest of the postseason. So, yeah, I mean, I think as you alluded to, it seems like the schedule sets up that at least the door is open. 3 games with 6 to play in a way can feel daunting. In a way, it feels like you're right there. In a way, it feels really daunting. 3, if it was 1 or 2, you'd feel like, hey, you're right there. If it was 4 or 5, you'd feel like, it's probably unlikely. But 3 is kind of that weird little middle ground for sure. And but again, with the way the schedule sets up, the door feels open. So certainly a ton of incentive to just keep your foot on the gas, keep pressing. Gosh, it'd be nice if they could secure a sweep over one of these teams the next couple weeks, which they've been trying to for so long. So, we'll see how this next couple weeks play out.
Yeah, on the road for the Ducks at Washington on the baseball diamond, and then at home against Washington State. Lastly, Rob, I'm going to have Casey Martin here in just a little bit, and he is maybe the biggest Oregon football fan there is. I actually asked him, and we recorded with him earlier. That's going to come up in just a moment. But on the golf front, Rob, you see the women's team, they're the only team to shoot under par today, starting to peak at the right time. Men's golf, 17th straight year in the postseason for Casey Martin's team. These 2 golf programs, Rob, man, for me, it's been really fun to watch the last few years. They're always competing. They're always in these big-time moments at the end of the year. I feel like maybe I don't talk about these 2 programs enough,
Well, I think both coaches would tell you that their body of work this season, for the most part, up till now, hasn't been kind of what they might have hoped, But I think they both feel like things might be starting to align right at the perfect time. And I think we saw for Derek Radley in the women's program, we saw that come to fruition over the last 3 days. And I think Casey Martin's kind of hoping the same thing, that maybe you get some momentum going at the right time. Things start to click. We saw, CCT on the women's side today, a senior coming through with a great round to close out that tournament. Yeah, I think, again, Casey's hoping the same thing. Owen and Nate, his seniors can really help set the tone after kind of some up and down play this year. Some of the younger guys have really been effective in helping carry that group. So, if things can click for the guys the way they clicked for the women, could have two teams back at national.
Rob Moseley, live on the scene on the farm. Ducks continuing practice in preparation for the Pac-12 softball tournament. Rob will be writing about it on GoDucks.com. Rob, keep Knight out of trouble. He's driving down to meet you all right now.
Boy.
Keep him out of trouble tomorrow, will you?
No guarantees.
Attaboy. Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. Thanks for the flexibility, Rob. I appreciate the effort.
Hey, right back at you. I appreciate you guys working with me.
Hey, anytime. Live on the scene. Rob Moseley via the Zooms. All right, we're going to get a timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk with Casey Martin. Men's golf, I'm telling you, 17 straight years. You can't take this for granted, can you? More coming on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot fast and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. So we've got a lot going on, right? We've got the Diamond Sports. Spring football just wrapped up. We're going to talk with Jorgie, actually, on the show on Friday. We've got more coming. All sorts of news, updates around the Oregon football program. And look, I'll just say this in the way that I can without getting a compliance violation. It sure is fun keeping track of social media these days. It's going to be a fun fall. Our friends that cover recruiting all the time, yeah, it's been fun. Meanwhile, it's also been a lot of fun the last 17 years you're going to the postseason. Casey Martin, huge Oregon football fan. Casey Martin, one of the longest tenured head coaches here at Oregon. Grew up in South Eugene. There's a lot of fun connections. His team getting ready for the NCAA regionals, the men's golf team, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Next week. They're traveling Friday. We talked with him yesterday, Casey Martin. Postseason play. Oregon men's golf head coach Casey Martin is here with us. So this is great. I got to tell everybody a little inside the broadcast. This is how much we appreciate Coach Martin. So on Monday, I'm like, hey, I want to get Coach Martin on the show. Postseason, you're leaving Friday. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. So I said, okay, when can we do this? Like, let's work this out. It's 7:30 last night. It's 9 a.m. this morning, and Coach Martin's like, I'm here for you. So thank you. I appreciate the quick turnaround.
Shows how busy I am when it comes down to it.
No, it shows your want to come on the show, and I, on behalf of all the fans, appreciate it, Coach.
Let's go.
All right, so we were talking beforehand, another inside the show. You are still a big football fan. Are you the biggest Oregon football fan that you know?
Yes, I am. I'm the biggest.
And it's like not even a close second?
I haven't met someone near. No, it's a problem.
No, it's not.
It's a problem.
I think
I enjoy it, but I've also recognized that
it's not
okay.
Is problem relative though?
It is. There are bigger problems in the world,
right?
But it definitely falls on the category of this is an issue.
All right. Well, I respectfully disagree. I think that it's great to be a fan. So you follow things, and I before we talk golf and your postseason team coming up, like, Coach, season tickets were sold out in April. Now you're at every game you can be at. I know you are.
Yes.
So how excited does that make you, just from a fan's perspective, and then also from a fellow coach's perspective?
Yeah, it's awesome. And I know there's been a lot of controversy with Big Ten and all this stuff, and we're all kind of gutted at a lot of levels at that. But then at the end of the day, you can't argue when you have some of these teams coming to Autzen. And I love that growing up here. I mean, that juice of going to Autzen for those games, it's so fun. It's probably a big reason why I'm here, you know, just because when I got into coaching, it's like, I want to be here, you know, and obviously this is home for me, but it creates such a buzz for the city, for the community, for the school, and certainly from a recruiting perspective as a coach, when I can bring kids in and they go see that and experience it, they want to be a part of it. So.
Can you put into words, though, like what you just said? I mean, you're one of the longest tenured coaches here at Oregon, and you've wanted to be here because it feels like home, I'd imagine, for all the reasons maybe you just said.
Yeah, I mean, it is home. I born at South Eugene.
Right.
I mean,
go Axe.
Let's go, the Axe.
Yeah.
You know, same with my assistant, Jeff Quinney. We're all we grew up right around campus. This is what we knew, and it makes living in Eugene really special, and it gets me stoked, and it's in the blood.
How much has campus changed?
I mean, it's gone from kind of sleepy little school to it's like a urban, it's like a skyline. I love it, though. I love the progress. We're so in debt to the people that have made Oregon athletics what it is, and obviously Phil and what he gives, and just to see the buildings and the vibe that it creates, it's incredible.
Well, to that point, I haven't asked you a ton yet about the Jake. I mean, what's it been like working out in the Jake all this time now?
Yeah. I'd hoped we'd never would have used it because it was going to be 75 every day.
Right. Well, it is, obviously. Yeah.
But we've used it a lot.
Okay.
And the kids love it. It gives us a home base. I can't speak enough to it. It's something we've desperately needed, and I'm grateful we did it, and I'm grateful that it turned out as good as it did. It's got a really, like I said, a really cool vibe. It's really well done. It's sturdy. It just feels like significant.
Like Oregon.
Yeah, it feels significant, and it feels good there. It's not tinny or cheap.
Yeah.
It's really heavy and good, and I love it.
How much has it helped you as a coach with this year's team here heading to postseason?
Well, I think the biggest thing, it helps morale, because like we were out there yesterday, it's May, and it was kind of cold and wet, and yet we had an ability to get all our work done. Guys were comfortable. They could come in and out. We're still outside in it because it's not like downpour every day, but it just breaks it up and gives the kids a chance to just catch their breath, and it really helps.
Well, I feel like every postseason, too, I ask you, like, how much of a benefit is it, though, that you have a team that can play in all kinds of different elements?
I think so. I mean, we talk a lot about our spring. We go to Bandon where it's really tough. And we play the Duck here at Eugene. Normally the weather isn't great. And then, we go down to Paso Tiempo. We just got back from Arizona. We've seen everything at this point.
Right.
And we've seen a lot of adversity, weather-wise, condition-wise. So our next challenge at Baton Rouge for regionals is going to be a challenge. I mean, it's going to be hot and humid, Bermuda grass, which we don't see a ton of. But at the end of the day, we've been through adversity. These kids are tested, and we'll be ready for it. I can't make any predictions, but I know that we're ready for anything that course can throw us.
We'll talk a little bit about the course in a second, and if you're with us on the show, I just reviewed kind of the season, but now I'm curious for you to kind of review the season. Like, we haven't talked with you a ton throughout the season, the ebbs and flows. What'd you take away as a coach?
We have a good team, and we've had a good team, a veteran team. We haven't played our best, and there's probably a myriad of reasons. Some health, some guys are in business school and they're being stretched, to try to get a second degree in. So, and I'm all for it because they're doing awesome. But we haven't totally put it together, and I still think that carrot remains, and that's the challenge to the guys. Is look, we got some unfinished business. We got to get over the hump. We had a chance at Pac-12s and faded the last few holes, and if you can hang at the Pac-12, you can hang at any level because I mean it's the best conference for that. So. We just got to get over the hump a little bit, and I'm going to push and keep my thumb down on them to hopefully we can do it here at this final stretch.
At this point in the season, like if you're talking about that you haven't peaked yet, I don't know, is there some good there? That there's still something there?
Yeah, I mean, you got to peak at some point, and so it would be disappointing if we kind of didn't do it. But I think the kids are ready for it. I'm hoping and praying we can just get over the top and really put our best foot forward these final couple events.
A trio of all-conference honors as we break down your roster a little bit. Eric Doyle, Greg Solhog, Nate Stember, all honored, Pac-12 honorable mention. That's an impressive honor.
So the conference was stacked this year, loaded like none other, partly because this was the COVID year, the final one, so there were a bunch of fifth-year seniors everywhere.
Yeah.
And so this was the strongest. I mean, it was the last year of the conference. It's also probably the strongest from a I mean, there's so many great players. So to have 3 kids recognized is great. I still think they would have said they wanted more, as we all do. They weren't satisfied. But at the end of the day, we have some good players. My job to get them to play well next week, and we're gearing up for that.
How's the competition level throughout the year? I mean, a deep roster, as you alluded to, with a lot of veterans on your team.
Deep roster. We have a stacked schedule. These kids play in legitimately the best amateur events in the world consistently, which is great. It's what you want. It refines you, but it can humble you too. I mean, you have to bring it every week because you're playing against the top amateurs. And these amateurs go on immediately to success in the pros. I mean, the guys that we were playing with the last few years are now household names, a lot of them.
Right.
And so, you just got to – I love it, but at the same time, it's heavy, and you don't probably get respected as much because if you don't win all the time, but you got to realize you're going up against the best players in the world every week.
Tests you. You talk all the time, like iron sharpens iron, all these different things. I'm talking with Casey Martin, men's golf head coach. So this is the 17th consecutive postseason for you all. Do you ever take that for granted? I mean, I feel like I maybe don't say that enough. Like, that's such consistent appearance. I mean, that's a pretty amazing streak there.
It is, and I don't take it for granted, and it's going to only get harder at times. So I'm very thankful for that. It's hope it keeps going.
How does the Big Ten transition impact you? Have you thought about that at all?
Very little, honestly. We play tournaments, so we play a schedule that has a typical event we'd play in would have schools from the SEC, Pac-12, Mountain West, Big Ten, 15 teams all mixed together. And we're going to continue doing that. We will go to Baltimore next spring for the Big Ten Championship, which is different than Phoenix. But that's one event. I think we're the least impacted, which is nice because traveling cross country is difficult.
Sure.
But really golf is a non-factor in that equation, which we're thankful for.
It works out. Casey Martin joining us. So thinking about this, I was talking about this earlier on the show, Coach, and previewing the Baton Rouge Regional a little bit more. The top 5 teams from each site will advance then to the NCAA championships the way that it works in golf. Does it matter who's in the field? Like, do you as a coach look at who's in the field, or is it really just your team versus the course?
A little bit of both. But, yeah, it matters. I mean, we talk about it. You have to play well. I've never had a team that could just play bad and get through regionals, even if we were top ranked, because there's 14 teams. They're all good. The challenge at this particular site is we're the only West Coast team to Baton Rouge. And so we're a bent grass team going down to Bermuda. Instantly, there's going to be a learning curve. So we're going to go a day early that allows us to get a little adjusted as best we can. And then the other big challenge is LSU. I mean, LSU is I think an 8 seed or a 7 seed, and yet they're on their home course. So they instantly become a much better seed than that. And so we're going to have to go battle teams that are used to the heat, humidity, and Bermuda grass, and we're going to have to play an LSU team that's on their home course. So we have a huge challenge, but that's also okay. Yeah. Everybody does. We've done this before. We seem to get shipped out every year.
You do, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering that.
It's just they do an S curve, and we've just been ranked high enough to where I think some of the teams on the back end, they'll adjust based on geography, but they don't adjust a team that's ranked in the top 20.
Right.
And so you just, wherever you fall, they ship you, and they don't really give you a reason. They just, you're going here. So I
hear Baton Rouge is great this time of year.
It's the greatest.
Yeah.
It is the food is the best. I'll say that.
All right. Well, so you have some experience. I mean, been there before.
So we went Wyndham Clark's year.
Yeah.
We went, and we were doing great, and then we had a young man make an 11 on the 11th hole, very difficult par 5 green. And I remember we went from inside to outside instantly.
Yeah.
And I went up to one of my players, Ryan Gronlund, who wasn't counting at the time and kind of knew it. He was playing bad. And I said, "You're counting." And he looked at me, and he got totally focused and birdied the last few holes, and we got in. So that was a magical experience because it was terrifying to have. 11s aren't real good.
Right.
And
that's like what I would shoot.
I don't think I think that's the only double-digit. As a coach, I don't remember another hole, maybe one other, where he had a double-digit,
Yeah.
And so to have that on the back 9 holes at regionals, it was terrifying, and yet the guys rallied, and we went on to almost win the championship again. Yeah. So it will be a huge challenge. The golf course is tough. It's designed by David Toms. It's kind of in a flat, lowland, swampy type deal, so there's water everywhere. It would remind you very much of a Florida-type golf course. It's not particularly narrow, but if you miss it, you're in the swamp. Right. So you got to keep it in front of you, and the greens are difficult. The weather will play a big role. I know the women went there a couple years ago and got rained out and didn't get to compete. So all things are on the table, but we'll be ready.
Well, the good news is that in that particular event, the women were one of the high-ranked teams, and so they just advanced automatically. So if that were to happen, Auburn, Virginia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Duke, those are the top 5. The top 5 again advance, but to your point, LSU, a 7 seed, changes the calculus a little bit.
It does, but that happens. I mean, almost every seed. There's a few seeds like North Carolina and Texas that are 1 or 2 seeds that are hosting. But I know San Diego, Baton Rouge, and Purdue all have teams that are hosting that are outside. So those 3 sites get get stacked for sure.
That's what we would call a potential bid stealer.
A bid stealer
in the industry. Well, what else should fans know? Anything else on your mind these days?
Not a ton. We've just been focused on getting our job done this spring, and then out recruiting and doing that. Ready to do it again.
Love it, Coach Martin. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a Duck. Best of luck. Safe travels. All right.
Thank you.
You know, he is truly a class act and also the biggest Oregon football fan that I have ever encountered. I mean, this is not me exaggerating. Like, first thing that he often says to me is, so how they look at practice? What do you think about what do you think about these positions? You know, those are – I'm serious. Like, sometimes I think that he is one of the greatest golfers and one of the greatest coaches that I've been around. And he may really, like, I love that he said that it's, you know, it's part of why he's here, because he may very well be at Oregon because he's such a fan of Oregon, which is just awesome. Casey Martin, best of luck to him and the Ducks. They're taking off on Friday, a couple extra days. I thought it's always interesting to me, as someone who is a terrible golfer, it doesn't matter what kind of grass I'm playing on. I'm just bad. Well, there's such a study that goes into the different grasses, how it plays, and I watch enough golf and I keep track of those things, but when I start to hear the science of it and the just sheer, like, whoa, that goes into all of it for them, it's pretty remarkable. Men's golf, they're headed to the postseason for the 17th consecutive season, number 4 seed in Baton Rouge. Ducks will find out what the weather's going to be like when they get there on Friday. And remember, the tournament will be played at LSU from May 13th to 15th. Ducks played in that same regional. I was alluding to this with Coach Martin in 2017. Wyndham Clark and Norman Zhang were both in the top 10 individually. Those two guys have gone on to some pretty great professional careers. One of 6 54-hole regionals, the top 5 from each site advance to the 2024 NCAA championships that will take place May 24th through 29th in Carlsbad, California. Ducks is the 4 seed. LSU, a little lower on that totem pole. They're the host, and they're a 7 seed. That's what we call a potential bid stealer. See how it goes. Auburn, Virginia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Duke. If it goes chalk, those 5 teams would advance out of the regional. Thanks, Casey Martin, again, for taking the time. When we come back, a little bit more on Duck baseball. Said we were going to hear from Drew Smith. We will do that. More coming on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can make the most out of summer with all your friends. Most of my friends happen to be 4-legged.
Your summer starts here, but it all ends June 3rd. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can make the most out of summer with all your friends. Most of my friends happen to be 4-legged.
Your summer starts here, but it all ends June 3rd. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container, because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the Lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
We are back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you in the Country Financial Studio. So, down the stretch, the month of May, Diamond Sports, postseason for Duck softball at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then Oregon baseball on the road, taking on their rival in Seattle. 7 o'clock on Friday, 5 o'clock on Saturday, and a noon first pitch on Mother's Day Sunday. Ryan Milano's got the call for you. Pregame starts 15 minutes before first pitch across the Oregon Sports Network. Before we hear a little bit from Drew Smith, let's actually take a look at the standings, because this is why things get, shall we say, interesting. Arizona is actually coming off a win over Arizona State, a non-conference win over Arizona State. I watched that game last night. Wildcats are a different team now than they were when Oregon played them. Ducks won 2 really tight games against Arizona, and then the Wildcats actually thrashed Oregon in the final game of that series. Wildcats are 17-7 atop the conference. Utah is at 15-9, and they're 30-16 overall. Arizona is 30-17 overall, leading the conference. The Beavers are 14-9 and 36-12 overall. Here's the kicker on the Beavs, though, who won 20-13 over Gonzaga, by the way, in a midweek game. The Beavs have played one less game than everybody else around the Pac-12, well, most other teams around the Pac-12, because the Beavs and USC had a game on Sunday get rained out in their series that was supposed to be played in Southern California. That half game could loom real large, because Oregon is sitting in 4th place at 14-10. Wanted the sweep over Utah, felt like they could be the team alone in 2nd place at 15-9. Instead, they're a game out of 2nd place, a half game out of 3rd place, and USC is sitting in 5th place at 12-11. So the top 4 teams right now are separated by 3 games. 3 games for Arizona, that's a relatively sizable lead in collegiate baseball. But they have to play at Utah here coming up. So let's just project this out a little bit. Arizona loses 2 games, say, on the road. That would drop them to 18-9, and Utah would be right behind them at 17-10 and would own the tiebreaker against the Wildcats. Now, if the Ducks were to just, say, get a sweep of the Huskies, suddenly Oregon is at 17-10, which is exactly where Utah would be sitting. Utah and Oregon could end up, if the Ducks were to sweep, and maybe if Utah was to win the series at home and try to catch Arizona. Yeah. There's a lot here, isn't there? And I'm wondering. I'm just wondering. Sweep? It would be nice. I'm just throwing it out there. Not saying it's going to happen, but Scott, throw those standings back up again, because I didn't say this, and maybe it's worth saying. Well, Washington is, second to last, third to last in the conference. They're 9-15 in league, and then Washington State, who the Ducks finished the regular season against, is 8-16. Oregon has not swept a conference series. They've had a few chances. Now would be the time to sweep a conference series. Ducks could be at 17-10 and could be within a game or 2 maybe of Arizona and or Utah. And then suddenly the regular season final weekend gets real fun. All right. Now let's hear from Drew Smith, a veteran who's played a couple different positions now for the Ducks. Remember last year he went on an absolute tear. A 17-game hitting streak, if I remember right. He's a big reason why the Ducks went on that run and won the tournament last year. Drew Smith with the media today.
What have you seen from Washington, just in film and studying with Martyr and just their pitching?
Honestly, I haven't seen anything yet. I'm sure we'll do that today and then tomorrow before the practice and everything, but we haven't really looked at any film yet. I've just seen some stuff on Twitter or whatever the case is.
How do you feel like your sophomore season is going?
Personally, it's not going exactly how I would want it to go, but we're winning ball games, so that's all I can really ask for. So,
What do you feel like? You said, personally, it's not what you wanted. What was it that you wanted, and how do you feel like you can still try to get back there with the last 6 games?
Yeah, I'm really just focused on winning and not as much on the personal accolades or anything like that. A lot of that personal stuff comes whenever the team's winning, so my main focus right now really is just trying to get the team better and win games.
Last year, right around this time, was when you came in and were a real spark, a real hot streak. What have you seen from some of your teammates in that regard? Like guys that have been in and out of the lineup, and the team is winning ball games right now.
Our team is very deep, and everybody on that bench can go in there and do some damage and help the team out. So I think that really tells a good story about how good our coaching staff is and how good everybody is at practice, like getting prepared and getting ready to play and being ready when your time is called.
So like for you mentally, where you moved to second base early in the season, you're up and down through the order. Just how do you feel like you've gone about getting through that and continuing to perform?
Yeah, I'm not really too worried about it. I'm just happy I'm in the lineup, but also just trying to do whatever I can to help us win. That's really just my main focus. I don't care if I'm playing outfield, catching, whatever the case is. I just want to be able to help the team.
What have you seen from Maddox this year? Just in the general and his improvements and everything, and freshman at shortstop.
Yeah, he's an absolute stud and works harder than anybody at practice. Really gets after it, really smart when it comes to the little things, and there's not a detail that goes by that guy isn't on. So I think it really, he's just a really good ball player and a really good kid as well.
The guy who played the infield last year, just what the pitching staff this year has obviously been a strength for you guys. Just from your perspective as an infielder, just what have they done well to kind of bring you guys back to normal and continue to have you guys win some games?
Yeah, we haven't been hitting as well, so they've been able to keep us in those close games and keep them from scoring a lot of runs whenever we haven't been able to. So I think being able to work in pairs, and whenever we're not doing well, they're able to pick us up, and whenever they might be giving up some runs or whatever the case is, I feel like we've been doing a good job of picking them up as well. So just sticking with our plan, sticking with what we do best, and I think they've been doing a really good job this year.
Moving to second, just how do you feel like you've improved there after going into third base at the start of the year?
Yeah, I haven't played second base until this year, so it was definitely something new in the beginning, but I feel like I've gotten pretty used to it, and things have definitely slowed down over there, whereas in the beginning of the year it might have been a little faster and kind of where am I going on this, what is my responsibility, but all that side of things has kind of gone away in my opinion, and I feel really comfortable over there.
How has Hink helped you out there?
How's what?
How's Hinkle helped you out there?
Hink's awesome. He's a great infield coach, does everything right and really gets us prepared the right way and really teaches us how to compete in everything that we do, and super thankful for him.
One thing that the Duck infielders compete in, and the entire team does, but if you've never been to a baseball game here at Oregon before, or I guess gotten to the baseball game before first pitch, and you see the Ducks race the turtle off the field, the Ducks do compete in literally everything that they do. It's one of my favorite traditions that has continued in the years for Oregon baseball. And to be honest with you, I need to ask Brett Thomas, Director of Player Development and Analytics, I need to ask BT, what's the record time now? And have they broken it recently on the turtle race? Huh. There's a story here. There's an opportunity here for a broadcaster and a camera guy to just go out and have a little fun against Washington State. This feels like something that we could pull off. Yeah, that's Drew Smith talking with the media. When we come back, the schedule ahead, including Duck softball, Pac-12 tournament. It's here. Starts tonight for the Ducks. It starts tomorrow. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
We are back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you in the Country Financial Studio. If you're just joining us, Oregon women's golf, they're advancing. Ducks went on an absolute tear today. So here's the latest look at the scores. Auburn, the host, by the way, and I say that, I mean, the Ducks have won tournaments when they've been the host. I get it. Like, it happens. Auburn was 9 over today, and they ended up for the tournament at 10 over. They shot a 297 in round 3 compared to a 287 in round 2 yesterday. Well, Oregon shot 283. 283 today. And I'm looking through the entire tournament scores. 283 is the lowest apart from that 287 that the host Auburn shot yesterday. The Ducks, by far, the low round today in the tournament. Really big time. Oregon ended up, after there were only 7 shots separating the second-place team and the 7th-place team, Oregon ran away from the field. They won. They were clear, I should say, of the third-place North Carolina by 7 shots. The Ducks just absolutely pulled away. They were excellent in this particular round. Kiara Romero, Minori Nagano, let's see, CCT, Ducks all, there's a lot of green, not a lot of red on the scorecards today. Congratulations to Derek Radley's team. That's outstanding. Oregon will advance to the NCAA championships coming up in a couple weeks. Duck softball, 10 a.m. tomorrow. We'll be tuned in. Oregon and Utah. Knight Ureski's got the call on KWVA. It's on Pac-12 Network. Pac-12 tournament. It's officially here. See you tomorrow.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicide